Hey folks, Jeremiah here with Trapping Today, trappingtoday.com, and I just want to show you this really cool book that I picked up a while back. It's called Commercial Standards for the Marketing of Wild Fur. And I'd never seen this before. I found it on F&T. I was able to order it there. I couldn't find it anywhere else, but they were running a little special on it. And I thought, geez, I better check this out. Might be interesting thing to have in the fur shed, because basically before that, the only other thing that I had was this NAFA, wild fur pelt handling manual, which is great, but it's extremely simple, not hardly anything for pictures and board sizes and all that stuff, but really not much else. This thing is pretty incredible as far as what you can look at, all of the different images. It's all full color. It's beautifully done. So anyway, the book starts off with just basically showing you the right type of equipment and how equipment can affect the quality of fur. Go into different types of traps, production cycle of wild furs just from start to finish, basically from the dude catching the trap all the way down to the final product of the fur at the fashion runway. It all starts, of course, when you are catching that animal from pulling it out of the trap. You need to properly take care of that animal. You can't just grab it, rip it out of the trap, throw it in the truck, or drag it around all over the ground. So it all starts there out in the field. So they talk about different handling, how to handle the animals, how to set properly. Then we go into like the tools that are used for pelt handling. So they have a whole bunch of different things here. These guys are really professionals. They're up in Canada. I think they're mostly in Quebec. Okay, so there's this work committee. These are all Frenchmen, I believe, and Pierre-Yves Collin, Gaëtan Fournier, Roche Lessard, Antoine Martineau Rousseau. He's the one that Antoine is the one that's the main author on this thing, and Andre Blaise. So I butchered those names, I'm sure. But they have there's some pretty good quality fur up there, and they take it seriously how they handle it. So they go into thawing, drying, brushing, skinning, different ideas on skinning. It's just, as you can see, the thing is loaded with pictures. They show you, cutting the lower jaw off. They show different cuts to make. And then we go into a bunch of different themes. And so each theme is a particular animal or a particular type of animal. And sometimes they don't vary a lot, but the beaver is obviously unique, and the first theme here is the beaver. So they got images here that show you how it's skinned. This is skinned open, and it's nailed onto a board. And then they go through the process of cutting the feet off, running the first initial cut, and going through and doing all that. And then back into fleshing the beaver, tacking it up on the board, and different tips on how to board it, and then how to get some of that extra flesh off when you've boarded. I won't go into these in all in detail, but you got theme 2 here is mink, and they go through how what's particular for the mink, what different things that you have to look into when you're prepping that. They have muskrat, nutria, which are basically the same, prepared the same way. Raccoon, skunk, possum. They go through a bunch of stuff there. Marten, fisher, and badger. So these are groups of animals that are all essentially handled the same way, and they show you, how to make the cut, your initial opening cut, and tips on putting that up on the board. Lynx and bobcat, fox and coyote, wolf and wolverine, even go into black bear and cougar. So they just have a lot of information here. Weasels and squirrels, so those little tiny animals, they can be hard to handle. Then they talk about beaver casters, and how to cut them out, and lots of good pictures there, how to dry them and everything. That's really informative, especially these days Caster's worth a lot of money. And then if you rip a pelt and you have the opportunity to repair it, they show you how you can do that. How you can sew things up. Bunch of different ideas and tips. We even got that fur primeness chart. They call it a pelt maturity chart. You've seen this in a number of different places. This is basically the times of year that certain species fur becomes prime. That is very valuable to have when you're thinking about trapping and what you're going to get for your fur. And then talks about drying, how to dry fur properly. I mean, these guys know what they're doing. They even talk about grading and valuing fur, just things that you as a trapper should think about. And we get board sizes. All of our board sizes are gone over here for the different species. I mean, look at that. That's pretty cool. They give you all the measurements. If you want to make your own boards or have them made up, you can do that. So anyway, that is a very simple, easy to read book, Commercial Standards for Marketing Wild Fur. And it's an excellent resource to have for the trapper if you expect to catch any amount of fur. And you can pick it up. I know you can get it at F&T, and there's several other trap supply dealers that I'm sure you can pick it up from one or two others. So great book to have in your fur shed. Catch you next time.